Okay, so for this project, I found myself a whole bunch of different scrap papers, like just something that was a flyer that I can use this side, or this old calendar piece that I used on my last project, some lined paper, some regular art paper, and also I have just a random assortment of pens that I found in my drawer. So to start, I'm going to find out which pens are water-based and which pens are permanent. So I'm going to take and get a little scrap piece of paper, and I'm just going to mark down a tiny little bit of each pen. So I'm going to keep them all in line here so that I know which is which. And I'm going to take a cup of water and a paintbrush, and I'm just going to go right over the top and see if that ink ends up moving around on the paper at all. So if it does, then that means it has a little bit of water based in it. Like this one has a tiny bit. Do you see how I can move a little bit of that, but not much, pretty permanent still. That one, quite a lot. So you just want to find out which ones will bleed when you add water and which ones won't, just so that you know what you're using. But you can see how you can create a whole amount of ink with these. So that was the Sharpie. I know Sharpies are usually permanent. So, and then these are the ballpoint pens. So you can see what will happen when they get wet. So you have yourself a little variety of color and texture out of that. So after knowing that little test sheet, what you can do is you can start creating. And what we're going to do in this project is we're just going to start to do some doodles. So when you're doodling, it's nice to not really think about maybe what your end result is going to be, but you're more what you're trying to do is just kind of create a whole bunch of lines and textures. If you want something to think about, you can pick a subject matter, like spring is something that kind of always pops into my head, but you should be able to kind of almost do something else while doodling. So like just how I am talking and doodling at the same time. That is sort of what you want to be able to do. You kind of want to maybe zen into the moment of doodling, or, be kind of just not really thinking too hard about what the end result is going to be. So whatever paper you're using, you can start and think about different lines, pattern, texture that you can create with your pens. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. So you could fill in little spots, you can create shapes. So just have some fun.
Is this my real life or some wounded fool's fantasy? I remember a colorful light, it once belonged to me, until I painted my heart in white lines. They seemed so harmless at the time.
Okay, so you can see that I kind of just went for it, made myself, I can't help it, I always get to make landscapes, or at least I always see landscapes, but I could change this to whatever I wanted so that I'm not looking at maybe something that I meant to see. But have some fun, get creative, do some different lines and shapes on your paper. And then you'll go ahead and you'll start to add the water. So just how we found out that the red, when we added water, the red moved around on the paper. The blue that I used here will move around on the paper, and also that yellow. So I did add some yellow, I just haven't added red. So I can use this like a paint brush. And then another thing that I did is I got myself some tea. This is a super berry tea, and I just put a tiny bit of water in that. So if you have some berry tea kicking around, you can use that. So I have two different teas here that I brewed. Also, this has been stinking a lot, but also I had some onion peels and stuff in the compost. So I thought, hey, that could create some color too. So that might work. I grabbed a tiny bit of salt because when you add salt, it will create a different effect with the color. And I also have this beat up lime. So I'm trying to use things that maybe are not essential in my life, that maybe this was kind of going to go to the compost anyways, or these teas, you know, I got a ton of them and I can use them. So don't use things that are very essential to your life. Use things that ask for permission to from your parents. And you can use things around your house as paint. So if you don't have a paint set, you can use some markers that are water-based to create paint, or you can also create paint out of some teas and different colors. So one thing that you can do too is you can experiment, like what would happen if I added an acid inside my onions. So you can, your lime would be an acid, or a lemon or vinegar. So see what different results you get by just creating your own inks. So I'm going to just kind of set these aside and work on this doodle piece by just using some experimental pieces. So first I'm going to start by adding some more of my red in here. And then I'm just going to play around with the different, with using water and a paintbrush, a little bit of salt, and my lemon onion juice, and see what happens. Like, does it react to the ink that I created? And have some fun with it. So you can go right over the top of your permanent inks this way.
Where can I find an answer for love that has no trust? In books with empty pages covered in tomorrow's dust. When did my world become some empty place? I'm just an ivory statue on display. Paint my life with color and light. No more lies. Love me or let me say goodbye. Paint my life with color and light. No more lies. Love me or let me say.
All right, there you have it. So experiment around, have some fun, create some different colors. I really like how this highlighter really created a dynamic color over here. And then this is kind of just a little more muted in here from the teas. But you can see when this dries, the salt will come off and be different too. But you can get some varied results and, you know, have some fun with it. Here are some other pieces that I did. Like here's one on just a scrap piece of paper, a little tear in there, but still can have some fun. So play around. This was coffee here. Play around, you know, have some fun, create some pieces that you really just have, like, get creative with. Play around with colors, markers, permanent, non-permanent, and your different inks. Show me what you do.